Phantasmagoria is a Victorian-style children's bedroom. Most of the taxidermy works are toy-themed, which is a bit of a move from my regular animal rights, food-themed pieces that I've been doing. So we have a rocking alpaca with pearl harness and ostrich plumes. There's a piglet in a pram, a rabbit-drawn carriage, a porcelain doll that I made when I was 11 years old that I've remodelled into an artwork called Ostara, and various other taxidermy animals and skulls and that sort of thing to give the bedroom a feel. And there's a lot of stuff from my childhood in here, like antique tin toys that were my great-grandmother's, and a dresser that was my great-grandmother's as well that I had in my bedroom when I was growing up. There's a few pictures of fairies on the walls that I had as a child as well, and yeah, just a combination of different things that represent me as a child. I first started looking into taxidermy when I was about 15, when I realised it was something you could actually learn how to do, and tried to find a taxidermist to teach me, but no one would take me seriously because I was a 16-year-old girl and it's a pretty male-dominated industry. When I moved to Melbourne, I met a retired taxidermist who offered to teach me, which I've now realised I was very lucky because there's not many people out there that are willing to do that these days. I've always been a big animal lover. I've been a vegetarian since I was 9 and I'm a vegan now. So for me, the taxidermy is about preserving and celebrating life. Everything I work on has died of natural causes, and the pieces are really meant to be respectful and beautiful and fragile, and to get people up close to animals to see how beautiful they are, and to show them that, you know, everything deserves respect and love. The idea for Phantasmagoria came about actually when I was doing my exhibition for Melbourne Now, and it was originally meant to be targeted at children and have a kids program attached, and the NGV decided it was getting too dark, like there were black walls and there were deer that had rubies pouring out of their necks and that sort of thing, and although they thought most kids would be fine with it, they felt like if they targeted at children and people could easily complain if their kids did get freaked out because it didn't really look like a kid's thing, and so we ended up doing a separate children's program. But I was telling my mum about it and she kind of laughed, and she said, well, you'd never think of that because you wanted a black room when you were little and you played with dead things. So that kind of, when Nick came to invite me to be in this show, I kind of was thinking about that, and we really wanted it to be quite different to my exhibition in Melbourne Now, so I decided to do a self-portrait of me as a child, and basically what my dream bedroom would have been if I had full creative control over what colour I did the walls and what kind of things I would have around me. And you know, there are elements in here that are from my childhood and from my family, but also works of mine that are, you know, very kind of playful and toy-like. So it's really, yeah, it's a very loose self-portrait, of course, but that's where the idea came from, and I just kind of took it from there and started creating more and more pieces that fit the theme. And
there's a sense of fantasy, but it's tinged with darkness.
Yeah, and for me, you know, I guess it's the same thing. For me, what's dark is not necessarily dark. Like I think dark and light, and you know, life and death, they're all kind of intertwined, and it may seem macabre or morbid, but to me this piece is more about life and about, you know, happy things and fascination and that sort of thing than it is about anything frightening or scary.
The Victorian, the Gothic, what draws you to that?
For me, the Victorians, it was their aesthetic which I'm really drawn to because of its beauty and their attention to detail, but also the way they dealt with death. They were quite eccentric and quite sentimental, and I think our society is lacking that these days. I really like the way that they would take the hair of a deceased loved one, or, you know, wear photos and then kind of carry a part of that person around with them. And I think it's a really healthy and beautiful way to deal with death. It's a lot more sterile and clinical now and kind of swept under the carpet. So yeah, I'm inspired by a lot of the ways they lived their lives. Obviously there were a lot of ways that were maybe not so great, but